We are going to study science, physics, of lesson 4, and today we are going to study for the class 6 and 7. Now we are going to study our second chapter is force. First of all, is what is force? The external agents that change or try to change the position of an object is known as force. Means that it try to change the position from rest to motion or motion to rest. That is called force. And the definition also I have written here. The pull or push of an object is called force. The pull, to pull anything or push anything of an object, it changes the position. No, so it is called force. The SI unit of force is Newton and the C-6 unit is dyne. And you know that force is measured by using spring balance. Force is measured by using spring balance. And I have already denoted here the SI unit of force is Newton and the C-6 unit is dyne of force. Now here what is the relationship between, if anybody will ask what is the relationship between Newton and dyne, you can tell that 1 Newton is equal to 10 to power 5 dyne, or 1 dyne is equal to 10 to power minus 5 Newton. Now we are going to study about the effect of force. What are the effects of force? You know that it can change the states of a body from rest to motion or motion to rest. It changes the position. So you can tell that it is also effect of force. And the force can change also the direction of a body. It can change the direction of a body also. Now another here I also did, it can change the shape and size of a body. When you have seen that if any two buses, when they become accident, you can see that it changes the shape and size of a body also. That is also an example. So they are the effects of a force. Now here I have written different types of force. They are the different types of forces. First is pulling force, pushing force, magnetic force, muscular force, frictional force, centripetal force, centrifugal force, gravitational force, electrostatic force, and nuclear force. Here I have mentioned different types of force, and we will now discuss about what do you mean by pulling force, what do you mean by pushing force, what do you mean by magnetic force, as well as we are going to study now the different types of force. First of all, you should understand what is pulling force. First of all, you should understand what is pulling force. The force which tries to pull anything. To pull anything is called, of an object is called pulling force. And there is, here I am going to tell you one example also of the pulling force. That is one example of pulling force. You can see that water pulling out from the well, or the oxens are pulling the cart. They are called the pulling force example. Now pushing force. The force which tries to push an object is called pushing force. If you push anything, when you push the table from one place to another place, that is also example of a pushing force. Magnetic force. Magnetic force means the force given by a magnet. With the help of the magnet, the force is given, that is known as magnetic force. Now here we are going to discuss about the muscular force. The muscular force given by our muscles. When you bring water from in a bucket, that you need a muscles. Your energy is needed with the help of the muscles, so that is called muscular force. Now frictional force. Frictional force means the force developed when one body moves over the other body. When it's moved from one body to another body, that is called frictional force. Here I have written the laws of frictional force. Now frictional force act in the opposite direction to the moving body. Always it shows in the opposite direction. No, it acts in the opposite direction. So that is called the law of one-first friction. And there is a frictional force between two surfaces in contact depends on the states of the roughness of the surface. And there is frictional force between two surfaces depends on the pressure exerted by the sliding body. Another is here, frictional force does not depends on the area of the surface in contact. It doesn't depend on the areas also. Now next we are going to study about the advantage of frictional arm. Now you know that when we walk, we need a friction. But if there is no other friction, we cannot walk. So frictional force is needed for walking also. Another is frictional force helps to cut the wood also. Due to the friction between their surface, wood helps to cut with the help of the seesaw. Another is a disadvantage. You know that disadvantage of friction is friction produce heating. When friction is done, it produces heat. And you know that due to the heat, it increases the wearing or tearing of the machine, or it may damage also the machine. Another is friction reduce the efficiency of machine. This is because why it is called reduce the efficiency, because a part of energy supplies to the machine is converted into heat. It converted into heat, so it reduces the efficiency of machine. Now here are the method of reducing heat. How can we reduce the heat? By polishing, by using lubricant, by rolling instead of sliding. Here I have mentioned here. Now first of all, by polishing means friction can be reduced by polishing the surface so as to make them smooth. If when we make the smooth the surface by polishing, then friction will reduce there. Another is by using lubricant. Lubricant means that oil, grease are called lubricants because they reduce the friction and they help the sliding or rolling the substance smoothly, and there less friction is produced. Another is by rolling instead of sliding. Rolling a body is much easier than sliding it over the surface. You know that rolling is very easier than sliding. So ball and bearings are used in the moving parts of a machine. This greatly reduces friction. Now we are going to study about the circular force. Before I have mentioned the centripetal force and centrifugal, but it comes under the circular force. The force that is produced in a circular path is called circular force. And the circular force are two types of. One is centripetal force and there is centrifugal force. Centripetal force means the force which act towards the center. Center तिर तानिन्छ भने त्यसलाई centripetal force भनिन्छ. Centrifugal force means the force that away from the center. Center भन्दा बाहिरतिर सर्कलमै घुम्छ तर बाहिरतिर तानिरहेको हुन्छ भने त्यसलाई हामीले centrifugal force भनिन्छौँ. Another is force of gravity. Force of gravity means what? Do you mean by force of gravity? The force by which any heavenly bodies pulls other object towards its center. Center तिर तानिन्छ भने त्यसलाई हामी force of gravity भनिन्छ. र force of gravity लाई कसले पत्ता लगाएको थियो भन्दाखेरि न्यूटन भन्ने आइसस न्यूटन भन्ने साइन्टिस्टले पत्ता लगाएको थियो. कहिले भन्दाखेरि when in 1687 AD. Now we are going to study about the gravitational force. Gravitational force means the force of attraction of any bodies in the universe. Universe is known as gravitational force. Attraction between any two bodies in the universe. So you can see that Earth and Sun. They have the two bodies. No, they are moving in a circular path. Earth is moving around the Sun. So that is called gravitational force. Now gravity, the force of attraction between the Earth and other body is known as gravity. Now we are going to study about the electrostatics force. Electrostatics force means the force that produced in a body due to the statics electricity. Due to the statics electricity is called electrostatic force. When you see that when you comb your hair, when you comb, it shows the electrostatics force. So that is example of electrostatics force. Now nuclear force. Nuclear force means that in the nucleus of atom मा त्यो डेभलपमेन्ट त्यहाँ एटममा जुन न्युक्लियसको डेभलपमेन्ट हुन्छ त्यसलाई न्युक्लियर फोर्स भनिन्छ. In physical quantities, first of all you have to understand that in the measurement chapter also that what we mean by physical quantity means that which we can measure, that is called physical quantity. Examples are mass, length, time, etc. And there are two types of physical quantity. One is scalar quantities and there is a vector quantity. The scalar quantities means those quantities that have only one magnitude but no direction is known as scalar quantity. Example: mass, length, time, speed, pressure. They can be added or subtracted by algebraic method. A scalar quantity can be added or subtracted by algebraic method, but they do not have an arrow. Now next, vector quantities. Vector quantities means those physical quantity that have both magnitudes also as well as direction also is known as vector quantity. Examples: force, acceleration, velocity, movement, displacement, etc. They cannot be added or subtracted. A scalar quantity can be added or subtracted, but vector quantity cannot be added or subtracted. They have arrow. Next. Now, distance. Distance means the total path covered by a moving body is called distance. And it is a scalar quantity. Its SI unit is meter. Displacement means the shortest path covered by a body is called displacement. Sorry, mistake here, sorry. Is will be here. And its SI unit is also meter. Next slide. Speed. Speed means the rate of changing of distance is called speed. Rate of changing the distance, that is called speed. It is denoted by years. And the formula of speed is S is equal to distance traveled by time taken. And its SI unit is meter per second and it is measured by speedometer. There are two types of speed: uniform speed and non-uniform speed. First of all, understand uniform speed. If a body covers equal distance in an equal interval of a time, then it is said to be uniform speed. But non-uniform speed means if a body covers unequal distance in an equal interval of a time, that is known as non-uniform speed. Next. Velocity. Velocity means the rate of changing of distance. Displacement is called velocity. But it is denoted by V. It is a vector quantity and its formula is V is equal to S by T. Its SI unit is also meter per second. It is also measured in speedo with the help of the measured by a speedometer. There are also three types of velocity: uniform velocity, non-uniform velocity. First of all, you should understand uniform velocity. If a body covers equal distance in an equal interval of time in a particular direction, equal distance in equal interval of a time in a particular distance, then it is said to be uniform velocity. Next is non-uniform velocity. If a body covers an equal distance in an equal interval of a time in a particular direction, then it is said to be non-uniform velocity. And there is a average velocity. Average velocity is defined as the arithmetic means of initial velocity and final velocity. Means average velocity means initial velocity plus final velocity, which is divided by 2. That is the formula. And that you can tell that the definition is here. The distance, the total displacement covered by a body is divided divided by the total time taken is called EI, is known as average velocity. A V is equal to S by T. Now acceleration. Acceleration means the rate of changing in velocity is known as acceleration. Means change in the velocity. The rate of changing of the velocity is known as acceleration. It is denoted by small a and its SI unit is meter per second square and it is vector quantity. Now retardation means deceleration. The negative acceleration is called retardation. It is in negative, so that is called. Now we are going to study about rest and motion. First of all, let's understand what is rest. When a body does not change its position with respect to surrounding. When a body do not change its position with respect to its surrounding, then it is said to be rest. When a body changes its position with respect to another body or according to its surrounding, that is said to be a motion. There are different types of motion: translatory motion, circulatory motion, rotatory motion, oscillatory motion, random motion, curvilinear motion, periodic motion, and non-periodic motion. We will study now one by one. First of all, we should understand what is translatory motion. If an object moves as a whole such that every part of body moves through the same direction in a given time, if an object moves as a whole such that every part of object moves through the same distance in a given time, the object is said to be translatory motion. There are two types of translatory motion. One is rectilinear and there is a curvilinear motion. Rectilinear motion means that if an object in a translatory motion moves in a straight path or a straight line, its motion is called rectilinear motion. Curvilinear motion means if an object in a translatory motion moves in a curved path, in a curved line or in a curved path, such motion is called curvilinear motion. There are the given examples: a stone dropping from a height, a ball rolling on the ground, the motion of a tiger in carom board. Now next, circular motion. The motion of an object in a circular path around a fixed point or a fixed axis is said to be a circular motion. You know that the earth moves around the sun in a circular path, or the motion of the moon around the sun, the motion of the moon around the earth is called curvilinear motion. Rotatory motion. Rotatory motion means if the object moves around without changing its position, its motion is called rotatory motion. Examples are spinning top, the motion of blades of a fan. They are the example of rotatory motion. Now oscillatory motion. When an object moves to or fro about a fixed point, about a fixed point, it is said to be in oscillatory motion. Example: playing swing, pendulum, clock. Now we are going to study now next slide, that is random motion. The kind of motion in which the direction of moving object changes continuously its position is known as random motion. Example: the motion of butterflies or honeybees. The motion of footballer player or hockey player, you can take also, they are the random motion. Periodic motion means the motion in which movement is repeated at a regular interval of time. The motion which moves repeated in a regular interval of time is called periodic motion. You can see watch, it's moving in a periodic motion, so it's in the same equal repetition is done, so periodic motion that is. Now non-periodic motion means the motion that is not repeated at the regular interval of time. That is not repeated in a repeated in a regular interval of time. That is known as non-periodic motion. Now, thank you. Our chapter is ended.